5,000 to 1. Every expert agreed. The harbor had tides that could strand a fleet. MacArthur launched it anyway. It worked completely. The kill chain. Today we dissect the decision MacArthur's commanders called suicidal. We dissect decisions using the commander's own sources. By late August 1950, Korea was nearly lost. 140,000 UN troops compressed into a corner. NKPA controlled 80% of the peninsula. MacArthur had one idea. The Joint Chiefs called it catastrophic. He planned to land behind the entire North Korean army. Every admiral in the room opposed it. Every single one. Admiral Doyle listed every known physical impossibility. 30-foot tidal range, mine channel, a fortress island, 3-hour tidal window, then 12 hours of mud flat. MacArthur listened, then he stood and delivered 45 minutes. The arguments against Inchon, the enemy makes them too. He will think it impossible, therefore it is ideal. Admiral Sherman, I wish I could share that man's confidence. MacArthur replied, You share my confidence and my responsibility. What we are witnessing is not just operational planning. One man's certainty overriding the institution's caution. For the record, the JCS formally estimated 50 to 1 odds. What strikes us, MacArthur weaponized the odds themselves, not despite the dangers, because of them. September 10, destroyers entered Inchon Harbor. In daylight, alone. Their mission, draw North Korean fire, count the guns. USS Collett took hits. Her crew stayed on station. What they found shifted assessment from doomed to survivable. September 13, air and naval bombardment of Wolmi-Do begins. Fortress softened. Timetables classified. Clock running. September 15, 3:45. X-Corps begins boarding. 75,000 men. 261 ships. The assault plan, 3 separate tidal windows. Green Beach, Wolmi-Do Island, 6:33 hours. Before the main landing, Prayer Battalion 5 Marines landed at 6:33. On schedule, Wolmi-Do fell in 45 minutes. 17 Marines killed. 174 North Koreans surrendered. The fortress was taken. MacArthur watched from the bridge of USS Mount McKinley. His interpreter recorded the words, couldn't have planned it better. But now came the part the planners had dreaded. The tide had retreated. Wolmi-Do Marines, alone and visible. For 12 hours, 200 Marines waited on that island. Any counterattack would end the landing before it began. At the kill chain, we read the enemy's assessments. NSA intercepts. NKPA HQ didn't believe the assault was real. North Korean confusion lasted 72 hours. The landing was real. What would you have done defending Seoul against this landing? The entire defense was oriented south, toward Busan. 1 regiment defended Incheon. 1 regiment for a major port. Comments: was this North Korean negligence or capability failure? By 1730 the tides returned. The main assault began. Red Beach, 5 Marines. Blue Beach, honest Marines. Simultaneous. No beach. Marines scaled the seawall with wooden ladders. Not a beach landing. An amphibious assault on a city. Sources diverge. Marine diary records fighting until 200. MacArthur's communique announced Inchon secure by midnight. It was not. 2 conflicting official accounts. This is the analytical core. Smith's private diary contradicts the official after-action report. God held the men 3 weeks. 3-month task. 23 days of planning. 90 required. That is the record. September 16. Marines turned north for Kimpo Airfield. Kimpo fell September 17, the largest airfield in Korea intact. MacArthur had promised. Supply lines cut in 72 hours. He was right. NKPA south of the 38th, no resupply. 140,000 North Koreans were now cut off. At Pusan, Walker's 8th Army broke out the perimeter. NKPA was collapsing, operation succeeding beyond all projection. But Seoul still stood. MacArthur had a date in mind. September 25, 90 days from the invasion, a symbolic deadline. Seoul liberated announcement September 25. Fighting had not stopped. What strikes us, MacArthur knew the announcement was premature. Symbolism of September 25 mattered more than accuracy. Seoul fell September 28. MacArthur staged a restoration ceremony. 13 days from landing. Every projection had said 3 months. MacArthur was now politically untouchable. Truman could not challenge him. 536 UN troops killed. 14,000 North Koreans. The casualty asymmetry masked the strategic problem. Now we reached the decision conventional histories gloss over. NSC-81 was signed September 9, before Inchon launched. It authorized crossing the 38 if no Chinese warning emerged. Inchon's success removed the political caution. The gamble had worked. This is where the story turns. What came next mattered. Soviet advisors warned Kim Il-sung about Inchon in August. He dismissed the warning. Both MacArthur and Kim overestimated. The pattern is visible. Inchon's success created Yalu overreach. Millet's 2010 analysis draws the causal line directly. Tactical immunity from political accountability, a dangerous condition. What would you have done? Authorized crossing the 38. October 7, Truman approved. MacArthur was moving north. China was watching. Mao sent Yalu observers in September. MacArthur at Wake Island, China will not intervene. His intelligence estimate was 3 months out of date. Declassified SIGINT confirms Chinese forces crossed October 19. 300,000 Chinese People's Volunteer Army troops. In silence, MacArthur's intelligence network detected nothing. The general who called Inchon impossible missed this. Blair's analysis. Inchon's success was MacArthur's confirmation bias. The gamble had worked once. That was the problem. Late October, forces near the Yalu. Chinese strikes hit them. Chinese then withdrew. MacArthur dismissed it as a border probe. Not a border probe. Phase 1 of the planned offensive. November 25. Chinese offensive exploded across the entire line. 8 U.S. Army divisions hit simultaneously. The line broke. Chosin Reservoir began the same week. Once Marines surrounded. What would you have done? Inchon Marines, then Chosin, now fighting their way out of encirclement. Frozen mountains. MacArthur's Inchon success created conditions for the Chosin disaster. JCS official history Schnabel 1009-7-2 is unambiguous on causation. Tactical success created political conditions for strategic error. The war lasted 3 more years. 33,000 Americans died. Here is the verdict conventional military history avoids. Inchon was brilliant, and Inchon began the subsequent catastrophe. Both statements are true. That is why this operation matters. Ridgway witnessed both Inchon triumph and Chosin disaster. His assessment, greatest gamble in history and greatest success. He never resolved the contradiction. He meant both equally. The doctrine lesson Inchon left behind, not about tides. It is about a commander without institutional restraint. Truman dismissed MacArthur, April 11, 1951, 7 months after Inchon. By then the strategic damage was done. A different war. Inchon saw 13 days, 536 dead, war apparently won. What would you have done at the 38th? Same war. The war cost 33,629 American lives, 4 million Korean casualties. MacArthur's gamble won the Second Korean battle, lost the third. Unchecked operational brilliance distorts strategic judgment. That is the doctrine. JCS Joint Publication 3.2 cites Inchon to this day. It cites Inchon as the model of calculated amphibious risk. It does not cite the strategic overreach the victory produced. In our assessment, this is the incomplete lesson doctrine teaches. Inchon worked. At what eventual cost? That is the question. The landing saved Busan. The decision prolonged the war. We have found no historian disputing either statement. What the archive says about MacArthur, in the end. He was right about Inchon, wrong about everything after. The Korean War's 76th anniversary begins June 25, 2026. Across South Korea, ceremonies mark the Forgotten War's anniversary. Inchon ended the war in 1950. It did not. It is technically unresolved today, 76 years on. What would you have done with MacArthur's late September decision? Stop at the 38th? Or push to the Yalu? Every strategic option carried catastrophic risk. That is honest. What Inchon teaches strategists today is not about tides. It is about political consequences of operational success. Every operation changes the political terrain around it. Inchon changed it in ways MacArthur could not see. That, in our judgment, is the most important Chromite lesson. Full tactical wave-by-wave breakdown is in the description. MacArthur made history. He also made its consequences. Full tactical breakdown in the description. Subscribe. Comments below. Next, Port Chop Hill 1953. Full breakdown pinned in comments.